Our next discussion will circle around an economic story with a very human face to it. They're among the most vulnerable groups in the labor market, which is already soft, by the way. Overseas Filipino workers. I'm glad the President and CEO of the Overseas Filipino Bank, or OFBank, Leila C, can join us this morning. Hi, Leila. Good morning.
Good morning, Mimi. It's my pleasure to be here today.
Okay, so before we talk about the investment options for OFWs, let's talk about remittances first, because remittances went back to a contraction in August, down 4.2% after a 2-month bounce amid weak labor conditions abroad. Now, remember back in April, I remember that because we reported that remittances sank to their lowest in 4 years. Is there money left to save and to put in the OFBank for OFWs and their families? I mean, what's your outlook for remittances that contribute around 10% of total GDP?
Yes, Mimi. When we first launched the Overseas Filipino Bank back in June 29 this year, one of the considerations that we took seriously are their remittance to come in once we do launch a digital bank. And the numbers are quite encouraging, Mimi. 4 months since we launched, the numbers are spiking. We have more than 200 million in e-banking transactions posted already, and 60% of that are coming in as remittances from our kababayans abroad. So I think the positive, the outlook is quite positive for OFBank to really provide the needed services and progress where we are right now to becoming the bank of choice for OFWs pretty soon.
Mm-hmm. If you look at the big picture though, Leila, do you think that remittances will turn the corner and see growth moving forward? I mean, what's the timetable like before remittances go back to pre-COVID levels?
Well, we're looking at the end of 2021 for remittances to really level up to the pre-COVID conditions, Mimi.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so ma'am, you mentioned earlier about the launch of LANDBANK's all-digital OFBank, which is you. How's the take-up been? I mean, are you able to hit your target of, I remember back then, 2,000 new account openings per day?
Yes, but right now we haven't gotten yet to the 2,000 level, but I do believe we're progressing towards that, where the numbers are increasing on a day-to-day basis. And by 2021, as soon as we are able to touch base with as many Filipinos overseas as fast as we can, we are looking at 2021 to become a banner year for OFBank.
Mm-hmm. And Leila, when you look at the OFW remittances right now, I imagine a lot of these OFWs and their families already have existing banks. Why should they go to OFBank? I mean, what's your edge? Do you have better rates? Do you offer better rates, more perks?
Well, I think, Mimi, it's on the user experience that OFBank is offering right now. We have what we call the digital onboarding system with artificial intelligence. Anywhere you are in the globe, you can open your account online. No need to go and transact over the counter in any physical branch. You can complete your account opening in 5 minutes or less. And basically, a lot of the digital products and services right now are accessible online through the OFBank MBA, the latest of which will be the one that will be launched tomorrow, which is the Premyo Bonds facility, which is a retail investment facility for all Filipinos.
Can you tell us more about that Premyo Bonds?
Oh, Mimi, the Premyo Bonds are investment securities issued by the Republic of the Philippines through the Bureau of Treasury. These bonds are designed to be low risk, higher yielding, and very affordable investment instruments. You might ask, how so? Well, Mimi, the Premyo Bonds are considered low risk because they are direct, unconditional, and general obligations of the Republic. They are relatively higher yielding as their interest rates are superior to other placement. And finally, Premyo Bonds are very, very affordable because interested investors can participate in this issuance for a minimum investment of only 500 pesos. But the offer period is very limited, Mimi. The offer period runs only starting tomorrow, November 11, and it will end December 11 of this year.
What's the yield? You mentioned that a very attractive yield. What yield are we talking about for Premyo Bonds?
In the notice of offer provided by the Bureau of Treasury, and I'm pretty sure Treasurer Leila will provide more details on this, Mimi, that it's at 3%.
Okay, 3% per annum sounds pretty attractive. Ma'am, can you help us put a peso figure on this? Exactly how much money can we expect based on OFW saving habits that they will potentially put in the OFBank and investments? Because I remember there was a BSP research that said, OFW families usually invest just around 5% of the remittances. The rest of the 95%, they really just spend on daily expenditures like food, education, hospitalization. So are we looking at big savings from OFWs moving forward?
Oh, yeah, you might be surprised, Mimi, based on the data that we have posted and the deposits and remittances that we receive via the OFBank Mobile Banking App. 30% of the inflows are being parked as savings of the OFW. So I guess it would be safe to assume that most of them would be placing their investment as well to a low yield, to a low risk, high yielding investment like the Premyo Bonds.
Okay, final question, ma'am. When it comes to the law, because I know that the lower house is pushing for House Bill 826, Overseas Filipino Workers Remittance Protection Act, which will essentially limit charges and put a 50% discount on fees that are shouldered by OFWs. Will this have a significant impact on your business model?
Well, yes, but right now, Mimi, our services are practically free of charge already. Most of them, by the way. When you open your account, you don't get to be required to have an initial deposit. You're not required to have any maintaining balances. Any fund transfer you do from one OFBank account to your Bene account is free of charge also, as well as any fund transfer you do to a LANDBANK account for that matter, because LANDBANK of the Philippines is the parent bank of the Overseas Filipino Bank. And if the OFW gets to invest starting tomorrow in the Premyo Bonds, they will not be charged anything, any fee for that matter.
Okay.
So yes, I do believe that bill will extend as much assistance as we hope it will for OFBank.
Okay, on that note, thank you very much, Ms. Leila, for joining us this morning, and good luck with the Premyo Bonds offering starting tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you also, Mimi.